Excuse me, Mr. DJ.
Hey, check this out. We got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, it's the Midday Market Report with Jeff Dawson.
Good evening, sports fans from all around the globe. I am your host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and I've done it again. I'd say about 20 now. The closing bell, Thursday, January 12th, 2023, as I typed in 2022 for the 20th time. Busy slate, huge college basketball slate. We got 6 NBA games. We have 12 NHL games. Earlier this afternoon, our weekly trip across the border with Andrew McGinnis at Wager Talk with McGinnis Picks, talking pucks, props, and a lot more. A little of the Super Wildcard Weekend. And then followed right up with the Philly special himself, Mr. Dan Alexander, giving a little inside scoop, excuse me, on the bye week from Philly, how they're sitting health-wise. We talked some cheesesteak. Is it the mozzarella? Is it the provolone? Is it the American? Or is it the cheese whiz? I don't know. But he gave us some insight there. And now, back in our studio, Mr. Southside Riley, is we're going to get you caught up with tonight in sports as football in the NFL is just days away. Just looking at some numbers right now, it's really starting to shake itself out. The Bengals 9.5. I did see some 10s back to 9.5. Again, that's Lamar out, obviously. And I wondering if that is now with Hundley going to play or not going to play. Buffalo was at 10, went to 13 as Skylar Thompson will be starting there. No any real big moves anywhere else. The Chargers have tiptoed to 2.5. The Niners have gone from 10 to 9.5. So a little Pete Carroll, Geno Smith love there. Giants, Vikings did get to 48.5. It is back to 48.5 under over. Vikings now a flat 3 there. And last but not least, Dallas and Tampa, 2.5 with the 45.5. So a lot to talk about. I haven't even brought this up, so I'm not going to say it out loud. I'm just going to bring him in and then ask him his thoughts. The one and only Mr. Riley Magnuson himself. Afternoon, Riley.
Afternoon, my friend. Happy Thursday afternoon. I am testing out a new little studio chair setup here. So if I'm standing over my camera more than usual, that's why. So I had a last-minute breakdown with my desk chair, so I'm using a bar stool, feeling like I'm 10 feet tall over here. But happy Thursday, my friend. You said it. We've had a solid week of basketball, at least from my perspective, betting-wise and entertainment-wise, and obviously got some stuff going on tonight, and then obviously some NFL news and games this weekend to get ready for. So I am ready to rock and roll, my friend. Obviously we've got, like you said, 6 NBA games. I don't know what the exact count of college basketball games is, but plenty of stuff to choose from. So I am ready to get rolling into whatever you would like to.
A little disappointed myself. It's funny. We try to wear that 7-course meal that never ends. In other words, always add and subtract and add and subtract. Got on that heater before Christmas, 25-6. We had 5 out of 6 winning weeks. We call them Envelope Monday. And then the 1 week that we didn't have Envelope Monday, it was a wash. So we just turned the page. Yeah. The start of 2023 here. Basically, last week couldn't get any traction and lost a couple units. And this week we're down 1 unit. And the fact is, again, there's so many games, so many college hoops, especially the strainer is just sucking the winners dry. Really mad at myself a couple nights ago. We talked about it. I left Florida on the desk. That was definitely the play against LSU. I left Rutgers on the desk. We didn't do a closing bell And I really was interested in your thoughts there. To me, that was a glaring Rutgers number as they were the favorites at Northwestern. We've hit a couple of the totals late, like last night. It didn't look like it was coming in. I was talking to one of our colleagues, and he was like, I was shocked that it snuck over. We had over 130.5. Chicago State and Tarleton State. We're probably the only people in the world on that. And we got to 136 there. Egg on my face, had Arkansas money line last night. And there's some games that you just don't need to get into. And I didn't think they'd lose two in a row. I'm a numbers guy. But the funny part of that game is Arkansas is up 7 right before the half, and they give up a 6-0 run right before the half, so they get a 1-point lead instead of a 7-point lead. And then, of course, their opponents, Alabama, does what they do best, came out guns a-blazing, got a nice 7-8-point lead. Game wasn't over. Arkansas cuts it 65-63, about 4 or 5 minutes to go. Leave the desk for 3 minutes, and next thing you know, it was like a 17-5 blitz.
Yeah.
Something stupid. And the thanks for playing. But with all this, actually, I'm going to stop right there because the question I wanted to ask you that you and I haven't talked about, and I'm going to applaud the Mets. I'm going to applaud the Giants. I'm also going to applaud the Twins. And this is why I'm going to applaud the Twins, because when you looked at Trey Turner's contract, when you looked at Xander Bogaerts' contract, and then you looked at Dansby Swansby contracted 6 years. As much as I love Trey, as much as I love Xander, I thought for a team-friendly contract, Swanson was the best one. So here, the Giants got Correa, signed, sealed, delivered. We don't like what we're seeing. The Mets come swooping in. The Mets duck boats parade. In comes Correa. Don't really like what we're seeing here. And then the Twins got him for 6 years. Thoughts 6 for 200. What are you thinking?
No, you and I have talked about him, semi-extensively, I guess, and it's just, is he a good player? Absolutely, he's a very good player. I don't know, where he ranks as far as position players are concerned. I guess off the top of my head, I would say top 25, top 30 position player, maybe. Maybe that's, maybe if you wrote it out, maybe that's different. But either way, no, I think anything more than 6-7 years for someone like him would have been kind of ridiculous, honestly. So I applaud, like you said, just about everybody involved. The Twins obviously just dealt with him, know what they're getting with him for the most part. Willing to put up with whatever health issue, physical issue, if there is any actually there. So no, I agree with you. And for a team there that had some money to spend, it's kind of an interesting position where they've kind of been that team where, every other year they kind of, if everything goes right, we're going to be a contender, and maybe on a down year like last year, we'll, kind of try and at best win 80 games. But obviously they've always had some teams that you don't really expect to do much. And then, the next thing a couple of years ago, they had how many guys hit 30 home runs. So they've always found creative ways to put teams together and sometimes have just, not had as many resources, not had many big names interested in going there. So I think it's good for them. I as a fan of a team in that division, would have liked to see him go elsewhere, but, not overly concerned with the Minnesota Twins as far as, like I said, aside from them putting together a season like they kind of often do. So credit to just about everybody around, and obviously, or as much as you can give credit to anyone that, I think credit to the Giants for not getting locked in that. Same with the Mets, especially with how much money they're spending. Obviously, that could have gone positively here for a couple of years, and then in 6, 7, 8 years for the Mets, that could have been a total disaster that they would have been dealing with. So I think it's I think it worked out for the best for just about everybody involved in this situation.
Yeah, I see him with a 10 or 11-year deal. I would have maybe started calling him. He would eventually became the Kawhi Leonard of baseball with the load management there.
Yeah.
I had to listen to the locals. The way the studio's set up, I open up a slider and I got one of the TVs. I can hear the locals, and they were just shitting on the Red Sox for their press conference because they were proud of themselves for re-signing Devers. Okay,
Mm.
and the same thing the Yankees were when they re-signed Judge. Now the
Right.
locals basically said, you can't be doing, pumping your chest and pumping circumstance when you resign your own players. But as a Red Sox fan and a diehard, I look at what has happened in the past, the Mookie Betts of the world, some of the other big name guys that have left the building. The Trevor Story signing was an insurance policy, so they had leverage on Xander Bogaerts because they knew if they weren't going to get their price for Xander Bogaerts, they couldn't sign him and sign
Right.
Devers. Now,
Right.
now people are saying Boston Red Sox, big market. Yeah, we were a big market. They bring Bloom in. I don't want to say to emulate the Rays because the locals are trying to pin this way. Bloom, you didn't do your job because the
Right.
Rays do not sign $300 million players. I get that part of it. Okay. Dombrowski was brought to the Red Sox with a 5-year contract. And on it, that's all it said is win a World Series. I
Yeah.
don't care how you do it, just win a World Series. And that's what he did. Okay.
Right.
So now Bloom came in with a job. He's trying to do it to his best of his ability. The model and the blueprint the way the owners want it. So, in other words, Riley, you
Mm-hmm.
are working for a company that has a payroll of $100 million. They pull you aside. They say, we love your job. We love what you do. And you are now in charge of taking our $100 million payroll and cut it 30% to $70 million. That's your
Right.
job.
Right.
So you're trying to take X, almost like to a certain degree, what is it called? Billy Bean there, the
Yeah. Yeah. Moneyball.
Moneyball. Okay.
Yeah.
So the whole point of what I'm saying is they were pinned in a corner.
Yeah.
There was nothing they could do at this point but re-sign Devers. I don't have a problem with that. Okay. You're a White Sox fan.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm a Red Sox fan. And if I told you the potential starting lineup for my Boston Red Sox next year, opening day in April, is Masaka Yoshida,
Mm-hmm.
Kike Hernandez, Rafael Devers, Justin Turner, Alex Verdugo, Tristan Casas, Christian Arroyo, Reese McGuire, and Jaron Durant. If you were starting that day on opening day, would you be afraid of that lineup?
I to some degree, maybe not Reese McGuire there, but that might be a spot I'd be trying to get through there. But I mean, the top of that order definitely gives me concern for sure.
The point basically
Yeah.
is, we're used to see
Yeah.
Manny Ramirez, JD
Right.
Martinez, David Ortiz. We're not trying to say we're the Dodgers where
No.
we're 7-8. But the key to success in baseball is to lengthen the lineup. And,
Right.
and the truth be told, our shortstop is actually named TBD, to be determined, because Trevor Story has basically had Tommy John surgery and he's
Yeah.
out for the year. And it's just they talked about this so well is they came out with the Story news after Correa had signed. So in other words, hey, if we had the news earlier, we might have went in on Correa. But
Right.
I'm venting about the Red Sox.
No.
The stage is yours. I mean, a little baseball talk before we get to the menu.
Yeah, no, there's a couple other things that I wanted to mention, but no, it's a situation that I think a lot of teams are and fans that are used to. I mean, Yankees obviously their payroll is up among the highest, but their fans in the past are used to them being head and shoulders above everybody else as far as payroll, and so when they're not, that's not good enough for them, right? And obviously, in your case, you guys have had so much success the last 2 decades, and a lot of it is because you've been able to spend at certain points, and so when you're not. There is issues, but there's other ways to build a team. Like maybe not. There's still a lot of things to be worked out over the next few years for the Red Sox, but being in a situation like the Rays obviously do it so well. But if you could emulate that with a higher payroll, then maybe you can figure something out there. So. It is going to be interesting. A lot of these teams obviously have realized that loading up on these payrolls isn't generating much more revenue in the seats. You have certain fan bases, especially yours. I compare it to the Cubs, where especially now that you've won a World Series and had success, you're going to sell out your stadium for the most part just about every single night, almost regardless of who's in your roster. And so you're almost decentivizing your ownership to spend and gouge their spending, and that's what a lot of these teams have. So and I think there's certain fans that are still coming to terms with that for the most part there. So got to give a shout. I don't know if you saw it. Got to give prayers up. Everyone needs to give some prayers to my guy Liam Hendricks as far as recent diagnosis with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. So still learning about that to a decent degree of what the extent of that is. But obviously that's tough news. He is an awesome. Obviously, if you're not familiar with him, you might see the fireballer kind of hothead on the mound cussing at himself. But he is one of the nicest, most down-to-earth human beings off the field. So he deserves some prayers there. So. Now, moving from other question that I've been waiting to ask you all day, and I feel like I probably know your answer, and my answer might be lined up similarly. Any rumblings or any perspective from you, and this is a totally different transition as far as baseball. Trevor Bauer officially released from the Dodgers. Any speculation that he will have a job in the major leagues this year or at all ever again?
It's so funny. And what really is a great lead in is tomorrow at 11 o'clock our time, Bernie Fratto from Fox Sports Radio will be in the studio from 11 to 11:30. Now, Bernie and I were exchanging texts all throughout last year. We had Trevor Bauer on our high stakes fantasy baseball team, and with the expectations he was going to miss a month or two. That was it, and then we'll get him for the rest of the season. And then the shit hit the fan, and Bernie really tied in with his moles and everyone. Basically says, Jeff, he's not pitching again this year. Okay. So I'm trying to tell my partner and who does the waiver wire, cut him now. And he wouldn't cut him. He was like holding out, and then finally he cuts him. And then Bernie came back to me and says he will never pitch again for the Dodgers, period, end of discussion. And they held his rights. So now the suspension is dropped. He is a free agent. He is a PR absolute nightmare. That's a great question. I don't know if he becomes Colin Kaepernick, Ray Rice, and he is blackballed. I don't know, because there's so much more behind the scenes as well, that as soon as someone, I think, jumps and takes a swing at him, no pun intended, I think there's more and more that's going to come up, skeletons out of the closet.
Yeah.
Great question. I'm going to say no.
I don't think so either. Because I was thinking about it as far as I had to answer the question as a White Sox fan, honestly, as far as would I be interested in that. And as far, obviously, the guy, as far as talent-wise, is definitely there. I mean, but, if people have forgotten what the situation is, go dig it up a little bit. I mean, there's fair enough evidence to suggest that he is a horrible, horrible, horrible human being. And not only that, but also pretty decent evidence, even before these allegations, that he was a bad clubhouse guy just in general. I mean, you have the scene, I believe it was while he was in Cleveland still, where correct me if I'm wrong, I thought it was Francona trying to take him out of the game, and he chucks the ball into the outfield. I think that was with Francona in Cleveland, right? So by many accounts, he is a horrifically bad human being. Fantastic pitcher, and comparable in some ways to the Deshaun Watson situation. But I think in this situation, a team that's desperate for a quarterback is more willing to put up with a PR nightmare than a baseball team willing to give a shot at a guy to start in rotation, in my opinion. And I'm not saying either is right or wrong, but I'm with you. I don't think he's going to be in a job in the major leagues this year.
I think, and I'm not sure, I think he's about 34 years old. I think that's the number that's
31 or 32. I was actually looking at today. It was 31 or 32.
I think in his best interest, and speaking of our culture, I don't know if someone over in Japan or someone would sign him for a year, 2-year deal where he could go pitch, try to basically start a new career where people will forget about it, and then try to tiptoe back. But I don't know.
But that's the thing. He's not a person that he hasn't shut up about these things. He is still very adamant and very aggressive as far as trying to clear his name and almost clap back and try and throw dirt on the people that are causing him wrong. So it's very different from all these situations where he's almost burying himself the more that he opens his mouth up. So I think that might honestly end up being the difference, to where if he shut up about it and was quiet and tried to let it blow over, then I agree with you. I think there is a path for him to try and find his way back. But I think the type of person he is, I think he's honestly, I'm not afraid to say he's a giant idiot that, in my opinion, just is not deserving of a job in the MLB.
Yeah, I mean, there's been people in major leagues / sports
Yeah.
that have gotten a second lease on life. I always think of Michael Vick. What he did was unfathomable.
Yeah.
Served his time in prison, came back, admitted I was wrong, did
Right.
a lot of services for the MSPCA and stuff like that, came back
Right.
and had a second career.
Right.
There's been other people, the Colin Kaepernicks, the Ray Rices, that weren't given that opportunity. So I just, with social media, with a camera, an eye in the sky everywhere, with people standing in front of the gates waiting for this, every fifth day at home, every time he goes on the road scheduled to pitch, I think it's more of a nightmare, and rather give the spot to a young kid that wants it, and versus this, as a lot of people would say, ass hat. I mean, he's an ass clown.
Right.
That's what he is.
He is. Yeah. Yeah, that's. I'm glad we touched on that. I was curious your thoughts there. I don't know if there was any other. I'm drawing a blank on any. I know Nelson Cruz to the Padres was the only other signing the last couple of days that happened for $1 million or something like that. But I don't know if there was anything else to mention.
I mean, the only thing again is the Trevor Story news. I always talk about athletes that wait for surgeries, and it's so funny how some of these guys, especially in baseball, when you don't make the playoffs, your last game is September 31st. And so you wait to have surgery in January, okay? If you know you have a problem and the season's over in September, you want to take the family somewhere the first 2 weeks in October, God bless you. Go get what is done, need to be done, get it done, so you're ready for spring training, or you miss a week or two of spring training. Now, per Story, this was something that just needed rest. We thought we were going to muscle through it. Well, as they brought up the analytics from him throwing from second base to first base was like, light years from where his arm was prior to the injury. And then the thoughts were they were going to move him to short. This year, he would have needed a cutoff to hit the first baseman. I mean, that's how bad it was. But, just again, we let our shortstop go. They weren't going to pay him. If they knew this and said, hey, Xander, we'll give you a 2-year, $70 million contract. Hang here in Boston for 2 years, at least 1 year. We'll give you the option until Trevor gets healthy. Maybe Xander would have bid on that. But, I mean, they're left now with, I kept wondering, are they moving Kiki to second with Story to short? Now it's a mess. Yeah.
No, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what else to add. Obviously, you're closer to the situation, but yeah, it is frustrating when you what is it? You just wasted 3 months of potential rehab and surgery time. So, no, I'm with you. It's a head scratcher for sure. So I don't know how you get through that.
We get through it, I guess, by going and changing the. We'll go to some baskets now. I know there's a huge college slate, but what I'll do, of course, my board's on the other monitor today. Come on, Cletus. Now the mouse is sleeping. Hold on. Why don't you go over to the NBA and I'll pull up some numbers.
All right. So as you mentioned, 6 NBA games tonight. First one up is Oklahoma City at Philly. 9.5. Philly is the home team in this one. 233 is the total. Let's see. As far as any injury report goes, I don't think I see anything to note as far as injuries are concerned. I think Embiid, Maxey, Harden, everybody's in for the Sixers. Same with the Thunder there. We were, by the way, they ended up covering the 2.5, but the Tuesday night TNT game, they did not get the win over Miami. So we were, I guess, kind of in the middle on that one. I think a lot of people expected them to get the job done with the win there. They got the loss there. Philly coming off of the beatdown. They beat them twice in a row pretty handily. Detroit beat them by about 30 points the other day. So a 9.5 here. We've loved this OKC team at home especially, but these spreads, I typically 7.5 or lower is typically the go spot for me on some of these Thunder lines. If you told me this was a good spot for him, though, I wouldn't hate you. Obviously, I do like taking some Thunder action. It was only 11-8 ATS on the road, straight up, still 5-14. So just haven't been a very good road team. I'm going to stay far away from this one. Any leans on this one?
Looking at some ticket splits, I'll go old school here. I've seen 69% of the tickets, 53% of the money coming in on OKC, a number that opened at 9. That is now 9.5. When I say old school, I'm going to say the old school way we used to look at this thing. It'd be some reverse line movement, more tickets, more money coming in on OKC, yet the line went from 9 to 9.5. Initially, that is an OKC number again, but I think they're trying to now start to bait us there. Slight lean on the Sixers minus the 9.5.
All right. Yeah, I think I'm with you on that one. And then, I never like taking a team that just won by 30, 31 points either. So that's the other keeping me away from actually putting money down on the Sixers, So I'll stay away from that one. The other one, these two teams just played, Charlotte and Toronto. Toronto's been the team that I've been waiting for to kind of hit another gear. They've gotten 2 wins in a row, so maybe this is that point. They were starting to get some respect on these lines. Minus 5.5 at home to Milwaukee. They end up losing that one. Minus 4 at home to New York, and they end up losing that one. And now finally these last 2, they've gotten the job done. But I'm still waiting a little. I still want to wait a little bit for this team to get really ironed out if they're the team that I've been calling for them to be. And again, like I said, these two teams just played. Again, very similar line situation in that game. It was an 8-point spread for Toronto in that one. They ended up winning by 12. It was a lot closer to that 8-point spread than the final 12-point spread there. So I never like going to a team after they just beat a team 2 days prior or whatever it is. So not trying to go to the well 2 times in a row on Toronto if you had them the first time or even if you're interested in going to them here. Not saying they can't get it done. Again, I've really liked this team to turn it around and be that team that starts getting it out of the cellar here. But I'm going to leave this one on the desk as well. Any faith in Toronto at home here tonight, though?
I'm starting to wonder. You talk Toronto, a lot of people talking Toronto, and the same that I keep saying about Miami. Yeah. We're waiting for these teams to launch, like the Celtics did right around now last year. So as you said, they won 2 in a row. That number is, I call a neutral number. It's like one of these, well, if someone said they like Charlotte plus the 8, okay, I see it. If someone said to me they like Toronto minus 7.5, 8, I see it. I just think, it's spot on. You got an under-over of 231. So basic math here, it's 18, 10, 19, 11, 20, right around 120, 111, somewhere in there. I think the number's real. We're at 119, 112. So I can see it either which way. Put it this way. I'll ask you, I don't know if you have it right up in front of you. So this will tell me, is Toronto's team total 119.5, or did they give you like a 120.5?
I see 119 minus 115 minus 120. 119.5, sorry.
119.5, yeah. So they're spot on there. Gun to my head, I don't think they get to 120, 121, which would lead me to that cover. So I would slight lean Hornets here, maybe even a team total under on Toronto at minus 119.5.
Yeah, Charlotte's an interesting case, too, because they were missing LaMelo Ball for the majority of the season. Now they've got him back for the most part here. Still probably want to be in that tank race, but also you would expect them to, they've got some young talent, so it wouldn't surprise me if they start to put things together a little bit and, get out of the total cellar. But at the same time, CELLAR as opposed to, trade cellar. I don't mean it like that, but get out of the basement dwellers of the NBA. I don't know. I don't know what to expect from the Charlotte Hornets going forward the next couple of months here. Are they going to go, continue to be in full tank mode, or do they want to win some games with LaMelo at the helm before he, finds his way to LA in a couple of years here? Who knows? So, moving on here, your Celtics are in Brooklyn tonight. 30-12 Celtics, 27-13 Nets. Celtics, I see -1.5. I see in a couple different spots a -2. I guess a lot of -1.5s, a lot of -2s for the Celtics on the road here. 226.5 on the total. The Celtics, let's see, was that last night? Last night get the win at home against the Pelicans by 11. And the Nets have a couple days off, or a few days off. They haven't played since I think on Sunday evening at Miami. They've got the win. Both these teams are playing well right now. The Nets have been playing really well. I don't know. A lot of people still remember. I think the Celtics are 1-0 against the Nets this season, but a lot of people obviously still remember the playoff series from last year. Any concerns for you in this spot here? Do you think this is a good spot to back the Nets as a home dog here, or you think like the Celtics on the road?
Again, a lot of people look into the back-to-back. Some people just play against teams on back-to-back. Obviously, still got Kyrie there. I think it's a tough number. I'm going to go old school here. 67% of the bets, 71% of the money is on the Celtics. And opening number 3.5 that's dropping to 1.5 and 2s. Again, I use tonight. I'm just going old school to tell you how it used to be to everyone watching and listening. Reverse line movement, more bets, more money, yet the numbers going in the other way. We call it, if there's a big move, especially around this time, it's basically steam. Now, do you believe in the steam or you don't believe in the steam? That's the question. Anyone wanted to bet the Celtics tonight? I would say just take the money line, take the 1.5, 2 points out of play, and play the money line. To me tonight, I still think it's a Nets number. I think, again, the Celtics win 2, lose 1, win 2. They're not in that start of the season form. Nets were on a great run. KD's out. Now Kyrie and company have to put the pieces together till KD comes back. Slight lean on Brooklyn tonight.
Yeah, no, I'm with you 100%. 100%. Excuse me, I can't talk. Especially with the everyone. I assume is going to be out on this Nets team without KD here for a minute. But obviously, Kyrie's been playing really well. Had a couple off nights of shooting, but overall he's playing really well. So I'm with you. I lean towards the Nets, but that's a TNT game, so I will be grabbing my popcorn for that one. Milwaukee and Miami. Miami by 6. Miami -6. 211.5. I believe we've got as the day went on, this number has changed. The Bucks are taking a kind of a night off here. No Giannis. Middleton's been out, obviously. No Grayson Allen. No Joe Ingles still. And then on Miami's side of things, I believe this was a couple days ago, so I'm not sure if this is updated. Tyler Hero was out on Tuesday. Not sure what his status is tonight. But I believe Bam Adebayo is in for them here. So gonna stay away from the injury situations there because obviously we've had a lot of situations where it doesn't make a ton of sense and goes the opposite way. But without grabbing the early number, I'm gonna stay far away from this one. Milwaukee's had some offensive struggles with or without Giannis, so I'm just staying far away from this one. Any thoughts on this one at all without Giannis here tonight for Milwaukee?
Yeah, Giannis doubtful, Allen doubtful, Middleton doubtful, Ingles, doubtful, Bam probable, then Lowry, Hero, Martin all doubtful. I feel for anyone that paid money for this game. NBA, again, when you have games like this, you should just refund their money or give them to another game, especially the ones that this is their only time that they're there and they spent the money to see Giannis and company there. My actual number was 2.5 with a 219, now up to a 6 with a 211.5. You said it best. I can't get the 2.5, therefore I can't play it. We have seen this, and I'll say it again like you say it, very simply. Would not be shocked if the Bucks come in and won outright. Would not be shocked if Miami won by 20. hard pass for me.
Yep, that says the biggest pass of the day, I would say. These last two I'm interested in, though. Interested in your thoughts. I haven't played anything, but it's interested to see where you're thinking with these. Dallas on the road against the Lakers. Lakers plus 3.5 at home. Excuse me, 236 on the total here. Seeing some public buy-in to the Lakers on the Mavericks on the short number there. They are coming off of 2 losses. They were in LA against the Clippers a couple nights ago. I was leaning on the Clippers on that game, and the Clippers won by 12. They lost Oklahoma City in Oklahoma City a couple nights before that. Lakers lose to Denver a few nights ago. Other than that, they've been playing a lot better. As far as I know, LeBron James is active for the Lakers tonight. Any interest in the Lakers at this number here, 3.5?
Well, the Vegas and the books want you to take the Lakers. As soon as you see LeBron, you see him on a late night game. I mean, come on, how can you not take the Lakers, especially with Luka and company, 3.5 point favorites? I mean, listen, I was born at night, not last night. For me, which I'm not playing, guys, I am not playing this game. But for me, it would be the Mavericks or nothing. Again, if you told me the Lakers were favored by 3.5, I'd say I'm taking the Lakers tonight. I'm not buying what they're selling. Sorry.
Fair enough. 3 straight wins in this matchup for the Dallas Mavericks. 4.5 favorite, 12 favorite, 7.5 favorite. So I'm not. Yeah, I am just leaving this one on the. I'm not even putting it on the desk. I'm another popcorn game for me. It's another TNT game. A lot of points, maybe a goofy over, no defensive game. How about that? Who knows? But last one up, Cleveland and Portland. Cleveland -3 at 19-21. Portland Trail Blazers here. Portland kind of been under the radar. They've lost 4 in a row. They've had some struggles the last week or so. They have been playing fairly well with Damian Lillard. Hit some skids without him. He came back, and they kind of got that back on track. Obviously, have been losing these last week or so here. Seems like a short line, though. I am seeing about 80% of bets and money on the Cleveland Cavaliers in this one. So I am admittedly interested in the Portland Trailblazers here at home as a home dog against the mighty Cleveland Cavaliers here.
The debut of Mr. Rubio. Rubio's back. Season debut today.
That's right.
So I was waiting for the lead in there. Rubio probable, Allen probable, Lillard questionable, Gary Payton probable. My actual true number is 2 with a 221. It's up to 3. Public sees that. I'm not saying Rubio's moving the number or anything, but I'll follow your lead on that one. It's Lillard time or nothing for me. Grab them plus the 3.5. Sprinkle a little pizza and beer money on the money line.
Yeah, like I said, he before these last 4 games, they were 14-10 with him in the lineup. So I've got their I'm drawing a blank on what the number is. I think I need them to get to 40 wins. So I had their over on their season total, the Portland Trailblazers here. They've been flying under the radar a little bit here, and people still remember them a little too much for what they did last year, which was jack squat. So I'm a little bit more of a believer than other people in this Blazers team. So that is if I had to make one play at the NBA, that's the one that I'm most interested in, I would say right here. But that just about does it for the NBA, my friend.
Yes, it does. In college hoops tonight, there is a boatload.
Yes.
Your Big Ten's got some Minnesota, Ohio State, Michigan, Iowa. Those are the 2 headliners in Big Ten. We got some late night action with the Zags at BYU. Obviously, Thursday night. I love late night Thursday night. We get some Pac-12, Colorado and USC, Arizona State, Oregon. Big slate. So what I'm going to do very simply is just put the board over to you, have you pick and choose a handful of games that your eyes see that you're interested in seeing. And what I'll do on my side is break down our numbers versus what Ken Palm's saying. We'll see if we can help the people that are watching and listening tonight.
Sounds beautiful to me. Let's start. I think we can start the Big Ten because I believe that is along with a few others here. 5:30 my time, 6:30 your time. Big Ten, Minnesota, and Ohio State getting the night started. So we can start right there. 14.5 Ohio State. Looks like it's down from 15.5, I think. I see 14.5 on that one. 137.5 on the total. It's a tough one. Minnesota is admittedly a very bad team. They are playing a little bit better. Hung tight with Wisconsin. 3-point losses, 12.5-point dogs. 2-point loss to Nebraska at home. Now 14.5 against an Ohio State team that's not really, not really putting teams. I guess they, this last month they were putting some teams away, but they're coming off a couple losses as well. So I don't have too much. This number kind of feels spot on to me. I guess I'll go, and if I had to say anything, maybe I lean towards Minnesota, keeping it maybe around a 10-point game. But if you think Ohio State wins this one by 20-25, I will not stop you from that one by any means.
Ken Palm, Minnesota 193, Ohio State number 10. They have it 79-61. They have Ohio State winning by 18. I'm going to go over to our sheet here. We have a 15 with a 137.5. Go over to Circa. We'll use Circa tonight. 14 with a 138. So basically, if you use the Ken Palm thought process, and 79, and it's a 14. So I'm going to ask you, and I know these are harder for you. Did they give, let me see, 14, 79, 80, 60, that's 140. So that's 2 minutes. 75, 55. Did they give you a team total of Ohio State in that 176, 177 range?
76.5.
76, 77, 76.5. Geez, it cracks me up how I figure those things out. It's just, okay, and Ken Palm's got it at 79. If anyone wants any action on this game, let's be cute here. Let's take Ohio State team total over 76.5.
I can dig it. Like I said, I wasn't even trying to go on record saying I'm leaning towards Minnesota. That's I like what you're putting down. This one, Minnesota is just flat out bad. I almost expect them to, do a little bit more offensively during some of these games, but having watched them a few times, they are among the. Fortunately for them, they got a few cupcake wins. Otherwise, they'd be in that Louisville and Georgetown, and maybe I'm drawing a blank. Who's the other team that I'm drawing a blank on that's been in the cellar? Florida State?
They're playing better. I'm glad you brought up Louisville because I almost fell off my office chair here. In whose right mind would ever have thought in a regular season game Clemson would be 17, 18-point favorites over Louisville last night? I was shocked. I thought it was a football game. I'm like, 16, 17 Clemson favorite. I get it on the football side. In a basketball game, are you kidding me?
Hey, they're covering now. They can't win to save their life, but they're covering now. So kudos to them, I guess. So, no, I like what you're saying with the Ohio State team total there. I can definitely get behind that one there. We'll just clean it up. The Michigan-Iowa game is at 6 my time, 7 your time on ESPN2. That one is in Iowa. 5.5. It was at 6 a little bit earlier in the day. I'm seeing a lot of, I shouldn't say a lot, but about 60% of bets and money on Michigan. And this one, public leaning towards, enticing a handful of points there with Michigan. To me, feels like a kind of a line that suggests this is a big Iowa offensive night. But obviously, both these teams are kind of a Jekyll and Hyde. I have had some success predicting the good nights and bad nights for Iowa this season. I have not had any success this year or last year trying to predict what Michigan is going to do. So, ignoring all of what I just said, I'm still going to lean towards Iowa. A big offensive night from Iowa. They got a team total above 80 in this one. So I'll lean towards an offensive explosion from Iowa at home here. But if you want to tell me otherwise, I, again, will not disagree too hard with you.
Two of the biggest Jekyll and Hyde teams. Anyone watching, listening, shout out to TJ. Good evening, TJ. Glad to have you on board today. A lot of people got a lot of egg on their face with Iowa this year, the same as a few of the later games, last few games with Indiana. I think Indiana last week had like an 18-point favorite and lost the game outright. this Michigan team again. You good luck here. This is Jekyll versus Hyde here, and I'm glad you brought it up because Ken Palm's got this at 80-75. Okay, and my sheet for an under has this right on 155. So if your sports book's trying to either give you a lean or a bait, because we know when Iowa's on, they're going to score 90. Okay.
Yeah.
They're going to be in that 85, 87, 88, 90 range. So I'm going to pull up their numbers right now for you. 10-6, their losses. TCU, they scored 66. Duke, they scored 62. Wisconsin in overtime, 75. Eastern Illinois, which is the head shaker, 83.
Yep.
Nebraska, 50, which we had Nebraska that day. And then Penn State, 79. They beat Indiana 91-89, and then they just beat Rutgers 76-65. Huge win for them at the rack, which is not easy to do. Now, let's just flip the switch to Mr. Hyde here or Michigan and see their woes here. Losses: Arizona State scored 62. Virginia lost, scored 68. Kentucky lost 69. North Carolina lost 76. Central Michigan, the head scratcher, 61. Put two wins together, Maryland, Penn State, lose to Michigan State, which I had on one of the office TVs. It was like watching lead paint dry. I swear to God. It was it was a Mason's
I had
confession.
the under on that one.
I mean, it was well, you were just waiting at the tip. 5 minutes in, they were cashing tickets on the under. That's how bad that was. I think this is both teams getting the offense back on track. What they give you for a team total on Iowa? 82 and a hook, 81?
80 and a half, 81 and a half, I would say, is the fair price. I see an 80 and a half, but it's minus 125.
Okay, so I'll just go on record. A couple things here. I think Iowa gets to in that 85 range. I think a team total over 80, 80 and a half, 81 and a half, 80, you're fine there. And I think Michigan, fine. Listen, after you play Michigan State, okay, both teams are going to want to go up and down. This is a good game. I think what's Michigan's team total? 75, 76?
Yeah, it's all over the place. 75 and a half or 76 and a half. Very dependent.
I would take their team total over as well.
Okay. I can get behind with I think I'm actually going to play the Iowa team total in this one. The 5.5 kind of jumped out to me, but if that's what's going to happen, then it's a safer bet, in my opinion, that they get well over 80. And instead of going the 5.5, you avoid, like you're saying, the big output for Michigan's offense, and you go to if not one of the team totals, both of the team totals in this one. So I like what you're putting down for sure. I'm with you 100% on this one. That was one that I had circled, seriously considering playing tonight there. So let's see. Moving on down the line. A lot of mid-major games, so I'm interested if you got anything there. I'll give you one that's it's an ugly one. It was just a ridiculous amount of public swing on this one. It looked like I see 81% of bets, 99% of money on Wright State minus 9.5 at Green Bay, University of Green Bay, 9.5. Any chance that the 2-15 Green Bay Phoenix slide in that 9.5 there from your eyes?
Let's see what our sheet says first. What time's that one start?
That is 7 my time, 8 your time.
Let's see what we got here. I have a 9 with a 145.5. It's up to 9.5, 144. Green Bay.
They just, you missed your chance on Green Bay. They just covered a 17.5, lost by 10, and a 12.5, lost by 5. So you probably missed your chance on Green Bay.
Ken Palm has it 76-68, so they have it at 8. 355 Green Bay, 226 Wright State. I'm going to pull up Wright State there right now for us. 9-8, coming off a loss to Oakland. Before that, they beat Alphabet Soup and Detroit Mercy. Lose to Northern Kentucky, played Miami of Ohio. Let's pull up this Green Bay. 2-15. Their only wins was against both Alphabet suits, IUPUI and UMKC. I know Vegas is hoping it lands on 8 or less. I
Yeah.
can tell you that
Yeah.
much.
Definitely.
Let me ask you a question. What is the first half number?
I lost it here. I moved on from it. Let's see. I will get it in 2 seconds here. Okay. First half number is 5.5.
All right, I'm going to shock the world here. Okay, I'm going to say Green Bay plus the 5.5 first half. If
All
you
right.
needed to scratch an itch, that's as far as I'll go there.
All right. I won't be scratching on that one. I like where your eyes are at on that one, though. No, it was another one. Like I said, I've told you I've had some success. I've gone away from it, and the desk tracker as opposed to actually taking them hasn't been a success. I had a lot more success early in the season with these 2-10 teams, 1-whatever against a decent record team, and actually taking the underdog. So I've let that ship sail for the most part here, and have enjoyed from afar. Some of them have gotten there, and other ones end up going exactly how you might imagine. So I've been away from that strategy the last month or so. So going to the Pac-12, you mentioned it. 8 o'clock my time, 9 o'clock your time. Fox Sports 1. Oregon hosting Arizona State, 5.5. Oregon 5.5. 9-7 Oregon hosting 13-3 Arizona State, and Oregon is a -5.5. Is that feeling like a statement for Oregon? Good time to back them, or are you hesitating on that 5.5 line there?
My overnight number 2.5 with a 133, a corrected number of 5.5. Trying to get my info pulled up here, see who's must be someone on Arizona State that's no Oregon it was. Another Jekyll and Hyde team, this Arizona State team. This is about the time of year where Oregon kicks it into overdrive. We didn't see that leading still they didn't turn it on. 9-7. I mean, I'm going back to December 4th. They lost to UCLA. They beat Nevada, UC Riverside, Portland. They lose to Utah Valley, which makes zero sense. They beat Oregon State.
Yeah.
They lose by 27 to Colorado. Then they just beat a good Utah team. Let me go to State. They lost on the 13th of November to Texas Southern. Then they won 3, 6, 9 in a row. Then they lose to San Fran by 27. They lose by 9 to Arizona. Now they do the Washington State trip. They win by 6 and 8. Ken Palm's got Oregon 68-65. I'll tell everyone here, I like Oregon -5 tonight. I won't play it on the money line. It's too steep. I think Oregon gets the W here.
That's what I was thinking as well. I don't know. Maybe I'm not saying to take Arizona State's team total under, but 66.5. Maybe Arizona State's due for an ugly offensive night, and they end up cracking right around 60, 61 points or something like that. So I'm going with you. I'll say maybe a 70-61 win for Oregon here is where I'd lean.
Would they give you for Oregon? I mean, for Arizona State team total 66.5.
Yeah.
So that means, did they give you 71.5 on Oregon?
Yes,
they did. I would be more on. I would lean Oregon team total over. And again, Arizona State under. I think Oregon gets this one done the more I look into it. My actual under-over number was 133. I'm seeing 137.5. At Circa right now, it's 138. So Arizona State's one of those teams that will play up and down.
Yeah.
I just don't have a good temperature feel on the Ducks right now. I think they find a way to get this done. I really like the fact that I think they cover the 5. I have more confidence on the Ducks side than I do with, again, the Jekyll Hyde of Arizona State.
Yep. I agree. We're on the same page with this one for the most part there. So, same time in the Pac-12. This one's on the Pac-12 network. I don't know about you, but that means I will not be able to watch this one as easily accessible in my neck of the woods here for the Pac-12 network there. USC hosting Colorado. USC -3.5. Total of 139 and a half and 140 in different spots there. Both these teams, 11-6 Colorado, coming off of wins against the big one you mentioned against Oregon at home, and another 20-point win at home against Oregon State. USC coming off of 2 losses on the road, 10-point loss at Washington State and at UCLA by 2. And USC is favored. You liking the home team here after those maybe people looking at those 2 big wins for Colorado and the 2 losses for USC and -3.5 at home for USC? Any interest there?
Common sense, which in our lanes no one has. Common sense says, hey, the team that just played home twice and won versus the team that played on the road, lost twice, coming home. So you're saying USC is the side here, which initially I would say, right, a bounce back. They need this win. It's a Pac-12 game, obviously. Not a problem. I would respect USC -5, 4.5.
Yeah.
The -2 is like begging you to say, hey, the hell with the 2. Let's take the money line -125. Right. I lean the Buffaloes. I lean them plus the 2.5, and I sprinkle a little something on the money line there.
All right. The Pac-12 is not my specialty, so at any point, if you lean in a different way from me, the Pac-12 of all the power conferences, that is typically out of my wheelhouse for the most part. I follow it as much as I can, but that's the one conference that I usually don't get as much of a read on. So I will follow your lead on that one for sure there. Let's see. You mentioned Gonzaga at BYU, number 8 per the AP. Gonzaga at BYU, 6.5. Gonzaga -6.5 on the road, -150, over and under of 153.5 differing there. Gonzaga rolling in the win column, but last 2 on the road at San Francisco, only 2-point win. At Santa Clara, only 5-point win. BYU rolling for the most part. Had a hiccup a week ago. Yeah, exactly a week ago at Loyola Marymount, and then bounced back against San Diego a few days ago with a nice 20-point win there. This one, though, Gonzaga, just looking at the last 5 matchups or so, a lot of times where BYU has some, maybe looks like they're poised to give them a run for their money. Gonzaga's had their number for the most part here. So I have not had much action any which way on either of these teams, or Gonzaga or anything, but I will lean on not trying to bet against Gonzaga, especially after they just flirted with a couple of close losses against 2 good teams in that conference. So are you buying the sizzle with BYU, or are you relying on old reliable there with the old Bulldogs?
You prefaced and set this one up so damn good. You really did, because when I saw the number, the initial thought is, all right, I can grab the Zags at that price. And in other words, it was eye-opening because those 2 tight wins, non-covers against Santa Clara and San Fran, they should have lost to San Fran. San Fran came out guns a-blazing, had them won, and of course they found a way to win. And they kind of just played grab ass against Santa Clara. So it's an adjusted and corrected number. Now I'm trying to read the market and say, Joe Public's going to wake up and say, I can grab the Zags at 5.5. Are you shitting me? Late night action. It's the number 1 ranked game on KenPom. It's on ESPN. I'm all in. But they don't know that the Zags have been having a hard time covering.
Yeah.
Now you were perfect, because this is the spot BYU used to catch 8, 9, 10, 11, like a St. Mary's on a Saturday night.
Yeah.
And they not only covered, they beat them outright, or they put the living scare of what into them. Danny Ainge isn't walking through that building, okay? So I don't play the Zags a lot because they're too public for me. Yeah. I'll go on record here. KenPom's got it 77-72. I think the Zags find a way to cover the 5.5, and I think they probably walk out of there with close, if not better than a double-digit win.
I agree with you. Maybe if you're interested in BYU, maybe they're frisky in the first half, maybe. Coming out hot out of the gates in the first half, maybe, but if you disagree, feel free.
That's your only chance, because the Zags have started so slow. Yeah. I think this is the Zags' night where they come out and they're ready. They have had okay. So what do we have? A 5.5. If Vegas gives gave us a 3.5 or even a 4 first half number. What is it?
The first half is 3.5.
On a 5? It's still a Gonzaga number there. I might even look at Gonzaga first half to be ready and to get that. But if someone wanted a piece of BYU, your only shot in my eyes initially, and I could be totally wrong here. I am a lot of times. Trust me. I grabbed the BYU plus the 3.5. But the Zags have started real slow of late. They got the scare not once but twice last week. I think they're going to be ready this week.
I agree with you. Not only that, they get a chance to breathe after this too. They get Portland, Loyola, Pacific, Portland. So the rest of this month, if they can get through this one, they're kind of coasting the rest of the way. And then back and jumping back into February, they got a tough stretch against these teams again: Santa Clara, St. Mary's, San Francisco, BYU. So if they get to through this one, they'll be they might be the number one team in number 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 ranked team in the country by the end of the month here if they can get through this one. So let's see anything else out of these games here. Stanford and Washington is another late night Pac-12 game. Washington 9-8, Stanford 5-10, and Washington only a 2.5 point favorite. Any concern for the Huskies in that one?
I'm at that the whole day here, and I'm just looking at this, and I'm like, am I biting? Am I not biting? Washington has been bad, as in regards to they're supposed to be better than this. They're 9-8, and they've lost 5 in a row. So I hate to step in front of the train because this is a Stanford number all day. It reminds me of the Florida LSU game. Okay, yeah. LSU coming off a loss at home. What were they? 12-3 against 9-8, 9-7, whatever.
9-8 or
Florida.
something.
Yeah. So, but look at the Washington losses. Yeah. Auburn, USC, UCLA, all at home. Then they lose at Arizona, only by 3, and then they lose at Arizona State by 8. If you want Washington tonight, grab them in the first half. They should be ready. Now, with that said, my numbers have Washington 1 with the 136. Now the public's taking it to 2, saying they're going to get off the schneid. I think it's a Stanford number, but I have no problem with people jumping on Washington tonight.
I'm with you, and you got Stanford losing to Cal. That's the only other team that I failed to mention when I was naming the dumpster fires of the Power 5 conferences there. They lose to them last week or whatever that was. Yeah, last Friday. So I don't know.
Tony Gonzalez played, though.
Yeah, there you go. So I'm staying far away from that one. And I guess if I have some coffee and I'm trying to get some late night action, maybe I'll circle the wagons and get back to it. But I don't think so. It'll be entertainment if anything. But even then, I don't know what I would do there. So I don't know. I'll go on record and saying Washington wakes up and gets a 10-point win or something like that. But it would not surprise me if this is definitely a Stanford number there. So UCLA at home. For Utah as a 12-point favorite. Utah 12-5, UCLA 14-2. Let's see. A lot of looks like a decent amount of public enticed by that big number on Utah there on this one book that I'm looking at here. Utah coming off a 10-point loss at home against Oregon. They had some wins before that. Cal, Stanford, and then solid win against Oregon State there. UCLA is kind of rolling right now. Close win against USC last week at home by 2. Other than that, they've been playing well for the most part here. Are you buying the big number there with UCLA at home here?
That number's huge, and Utah's no joke. I'm not saying Utah's Final Four or Elite 8, Sweet 16, and UCLA is. UCLA rolling. Ken Palm's got it 73-61, number 4 on Ken Palm. Utah, number 48. Our numbers, 12.5 with a 133. It's now 12 with the 136.5. If this game was played at Utah and I was getting Utah at home plus 6, I'd be all over Utah. This number's telling me it's a UCLA number.
Yeah. I know. I completely agree with you here. Wouldn't surprise me if this is an ugly. I mean, Utah's team total all the way down at 61.5. I mean, we might be looking at them not cracking 60 tonight.
What did they give you for UCLA? 72.5, 73?
Looks like they boosted. I see 74.5 for the most part there.
Yeah, I think they go away and win. I'll say by around 15 or so.
All right. I know. I like it there for sure. Any of these other, let's see. Actually, let's, San Francisco only 2.5 at Portland. Any concern with the Dons there against the Portland Pilots?
San Fran's been real good to us. I love me some Dons, and that's good eyes there. Let me pull this one up because this real bad. Let me see here.
Portland was an interesting, scrappy underdog team last year, but they've obviously had a much rougher season. 8-10, they've been losing their butts off. They just lost by 42 to St. Mary's last week, and now you're giving them this short line here.
Okay. Oh, all right. So they're 8-10. This is the game of the night here, guys. They're 8-10. Okay. They lost to Kent State, Seattle. They lost by 8 to North Carolina. Then they beat Villanova. They lose to Michigan State by 1. They played non-ranked Multnomah, whoever the hell they are. They beat North Dakota. They lost to North Dakota State. Beat New Orleans. So now they come in. They lose by 22 to Oregon. They lose by 11 to Riverside. They lose by 20 to Marymount. They lose by 13 to BYU, and they just lost by 42 to St. Mary's. Now, they're 8-10. I swear to goodness, I took Arizona State this year, coming off of 4 points, and I got Arizona the next game, and I got smoked. We should have covered. I think we started 3 for 18 from 3, and they had the ball with 3 chances to cover and didn't. So San Fran, 12-7. Davidson lost, Utah State lost, New Mexico lost, UT Arlington lost. And what was something about that was it was lose one, win one, lose one, win one. Then they beat Arizona State by 27. They beat Hartford by 32. They lose to Santa Clara by 12, San Diego by 12, Gonzaga by 2. It was a tough spot for them against Marymount. It really was.
Oh, totally. Totally.
And they were able to win that game by 2. Ken Palm's got it 76-75. Guys, I hate to say it. Go to the window. Go get your Portland plus 2.5. Go get your money line. This is the winner of the stench of the night. Is Portland. What is their nickname?
The Pilots.
The Portland Pilots plus 2.5 against the Dons. And I'm a huge Dons fan. I've made a lot of money on the Dons the last few years and even this year. This is the stench of the night. So we're going to take the Pilots of Portland tonight.
Yeah, I am all over that one as well. I'm glad we caught that one there. That's that is stinky as hell. And plenty of other people in the public are a big believer in the Dons as well. So it's not like some random mid-major team that they're passing over. That's as you know, maybe a top 5 public mid-major team this year, the last 2-3 years. So I am interested for sure in that one. Let's see. What about another kind of sneaky one? Another team, I haven't seen them lately, but they've been winning. What about Seattle hosting New Mexico State? 12-4 Seattle, 7-9 New Mexico State, 4.5. New Mexico State's lost 4 in a row. Seattle's won 4 in a row, and it's only 4.5 at home for a 12-4 Seattle team. Am I right to think that one might be a little stinky?
I had 3.5 with a 143. We're up to 4 with a 144. Let's see here what Mr. Ken Palm. Mexico State, guys, I will just tell you, is not that good. So
no.
Let's see. And New Mexico, who started out real good this year, has hit some rocky times. Come on, New Mexico State. Here we go.
They're 152 per Ken Palm. I actually would have thought they were lower.
74-70 Seattle is per Ken. And New Mexico 7-9. They've lost 4 in a row. Southern Utah, Sam Houston, Stephen F. Austin, and Cal Baptist Three of their wins are to non-ranked teams. Their only ranked wins are North Carolina A&T, I'm sorry, Duquesne, UTEP, and San Diego. Seattle 12-4. They lost to Washington by 11, Oregon State by 15, Utah State by 28, and Iona by 11. Just coming off of 4 games in a row. George Washington, Cal Baptist, UT Rio Grande Valley, UT Arlington. Uh, Good eyes. I'll lean the dog here. I like where
Yeah.
your eyes are. I'll lean the dog here.
Yeah, wouldn't surprise me if they threw a stinker, but that one, another one that caught my eye there. What was I going to mention there? Total, whether it's this or another game, I haven't asked you this question really. How much do you take into account past results at all? If you had to do something, for example, New Mexico State's won each of the last 3 meetings between these two teams. Does that help you at all, or are you thinking, oh, maybe Seattle's gonna wake up and look to get some revenge? They lost twice last year, once the year before. Anything there, or is that moot point? Every year is a new year.
A lot of people in our lanes, a lot of people with check marks, a lot of people with big platforms, the regular public, the regular degens. You go on to covers, you go on to
Yeah.
Dawn Best, you get a sheet this long on the past performances. I like to say, A, whatever's working for you, but B, sometimes too much information clouds the
Yeah.
brain.
Sure.
And for me, we like to read the market. So I'll be honest with you. I had zero inclination as of right now at 551 that they had won the last few. I
Sure.
just know by that number that it smelt to holy hell.
Sure.
Like the Portland San Fran
Oh,
game. Now you could
please.
probably dig deep and say Portland's 8-1 their last 9 meetings against
Yeah.
San Fran. I'd be like,
Sure.
well, maybe that's why the numbers too.
Right.
You know.
Sure.
But again, looking at the Portland San Fran game and looking at this game, 12-4 team versus a team with half of his wins against non-ranked. Our number was 3.5. The public is taking it now to no, yeah, 3.5 is taking it to 4. So I think you're spot on there with Seattle. Definitely spot
Yeah.
on with Portland. And
Yeah.
don't at me at EC Sports Invest if the first flash is the Dons 18-3. I'm just reading the market here, guys.
You're going to get pictures and gifs of plane crashing into mountains with the Portland Pilots there if they, both of us are on that one. I'll be on it. I won't hide from that one for sure. I'll be on the Pilots for sure. But as far as the conversation, as far as past performances, I might look into it if it's maybe teams that have a certain stylistic approach year after year. Like, for example, or Virginia against somebody random where you get a Virginia team, you kind of know maybe Virginia's beaten, let's just say Virginia Tech, maybe not Virginia Tech, NC State by 15 year after year, game after game. That might tell me something. NC State, the way they play just doesn't match up and can't handle this Virginia, stylistic. There's obviously only a handful of teams that are like that, but that is really, for the most part, the only time that might actually trigger me any interest is that. So I don't know if that's the situation with the Seattle game here.
And again, great point. Let's bring up Virginia and Wisconsin. We talk about them all the time. If you're going to your spreadsheet or going to get your lines and Virginia under over is at 138 or Wisconsin under over is at 141, you should hit the pause button right there and say, holy shit, what the hell's going on here?
Yeah.
Again, it's not 118, not 112, not 122, 123. It's 136, 138, 141. That should set off the alarm bells right away and say, okay, now let me do some homework and figure out why.
Right. Yeah, and you still should ask yourself why and exactly there for sure. So, let's see. I didn't have any. I think unless I missed something, or unless let me scroll back to the top. I'm forgetting somebody. That was all the games that I wanted to mention. Anything else that you wanted to bring up here?
I'm just going to quickly bring up hockey. It's a huge, huge slate.
Sure.
And everyone watching and listening, thank you. We're at an hour and 15 minutes here. And so I'm going to make this short and sweet. There's like 12 games in hockey. I'm just going to tell you where my eyes are on some team totals and see if we can figure this one out for you. teams because there's usually a lot of big favorites that we're not going to get into the minus 170. I'm not going to tell you to do it in regulation because that takes out overtime from you. So if we get an opportunity to get into a decent favorite that we think is going to play well and we can get plus money on a team total, we're going to go in there and do that. Andrew was on our show earlier today. The over in the Boston game, it's at 6. I asked him if you like the over, then Boston team total over 3.5 minus 130. I don't like laying the 130s. Now, you can get Seattle's team total over 2.5 at plus 100. Now, so the reason is if you think Seattle's team total is going to stay 2 or under, you're telling me Boston's going to score 5 goals for you to cash the over or 4 to push the over. So you can't have it both ways. So if you like the over 6, meaning you're telling me that there's going to be 7 goals. So you're telling me one of two things. Boston's going to score 5, 6, or 7 of them, or Seattle's going to score at least 3 of them. So if you don't mind laying 30-cent juice, take a look at Boston team total over 3.5. If you two like the over 6, you might want to peek at Seattle, maybe scoring more than 2 goals tonight there. I gave one of these out the other day and it came in. So this is the dog of the day, total of the day. Let me go over to here for 1 second. The Rangers tonight are minus 125 against Dallas. So if you don't want to lay the 130 on the juice or the 131, the under over is 5.5. It's minus 115. I gave one of these out the other day, okay? Dallas's team totals over 2.5 minus 140.
Okay.
The Rangers team total over 3.5 is minus 175. So I'm going to say, everyone, the dog of the day on the totals is the Rangers team total over 3.5 plus 155. Okay? So you got a huge dog there on the Rangers team total over 3.5 plus 155. This Calgary team just keeps biting us in the ass. Take a look at their Calgary team total over 3.5 plus 105. And I like Vegas in the bounce back. Vegas first period, you can get a minus 109 against the Panthers. If you're feeling froggy, minus a half goal first period, plus 175. And you can get Vegas team total over 3.5 plus 115.
Sounds good to me.
Closing thoughts, sir.
Closing thoughts. Before I get into closing thoughts, just got word that Jaylen Brown is out for the Celtics. It looks the lines are locked up on my books here, so not sure if that's gonna change anything there for that spread at all or anything involved in that. If you weren't listening, I believe it's minus 1.5, 2. Anything coming up on your side?
Down to a pick.
Pick 'em.
I got to pick them at circa with a 225 and a hook. Where else? Where everyone's running to as we speak. South Point. If you're at South Point, hurry up. Chris, your guys are sleeping at the wheel. You're still at 1.5. You need to change it. It's now a pick in most of the places.
All righty. Other than that, closing thoughts. Nothing crazy. Keep an eye out. Like we would talk golf a little bit. The tournament this week has started. I think I'm targeting they're getting back into California next week, so I'm thinking next week is going to be my starting to put out some golf content and blogs and whatnot there. Had a lot of success in the early parts of the season, and you and I had a lot of success throughout the entire season last year with golf, so I am excited for that to come back. But aside from that, college basketball and the NBA in full swing, so if you've been locked into nothing but college football or you're looking to ease into either of those, Jeff and I are more than willing to share some knowledge and information on what you might have missed as far as college basketball and NBA and anything in between. We have been following both of them, especially college basketball, I would say, from the jump. So for anyone who's behind the eight ball on some college basketball action and wants to jump in, wants to start diving in, we are your guys. So don't hesitate to ask us. We are always here and ready. But other than that, I've got nothing else, my friend.
As he said, PJ's in the swing. My one and done contest started. I did the Pat Mayo Challenge and the Pat Mayo Cup, and I did Rick Gaiman's one and done as well. I took the favorite because I know nothing about him. Kim, is it Tom Kim? Tim Collins?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
He was the favorite. I have zero idea, but I have never would ever use him again in my life. So I used him at the Gaiman. And I listened to Dubsy. We ran some numbers. I think Russell Henley finished second last year at this tournament. Another guy that I would not use in most spots. So in the Pat Mayo Cup, I have Russell Henley there. We didn't
He's
give
off
out
to a nice start.
Nice. Thank you. Woo-hoo!
3 under, 3 back.
All right. So it's funny. There was like 3,700 people in it last year, and I was like 3,600 at the quarter pole, and gained a little momentum and actually picked off back-to-back winners. Finished in the top 300, and I think the entry fee is $100 or $125. I got back 400, so it was a good time.
Nice.
It's fun.
Yeah.
We, as the ECSI VIPs, will start having up golf action. As Riley said, we're going to California. So between me and Riley's got blogs that come out. Myself, if you're not an ECSI VIP member and are interested or what we're all about, you can send me a email at eastcoastsportsinvestors@gmail.com. Go to our website at eastcoastsportsinvestors.com. Sorry, eastcoastsportsinvestors@gmail.com is our email. And go to our website or go on to EC Sports Invest on Twitter. And make sure you're following Riley at Riley_Magnuson the one. A lot of content, a lot of information. And as we speak, sir, tomorrow morning, I don't know if Rob B2B will be on air early. I know at 11 a.m. Bernie Fratto at Fox Sports Radio is supposed to be on with us. And then you and I, around 1:30 my time, will be doing the Big Ten review. And probably what I'm going to do is we're going to also talk any games that are going on at night, kind of do a Big Ten review, some a minor midday market report, closing bell.
Yeah.
And then for Saturday, I will be here. I will not be here Sunday. I will be taking my daughter back to school at UConn. If you're around Saturday at any point, we want to jump on, go over the card, do some super wild weekend NFL football.
Yeah.
It's all up to you. I have no problem either with
Sure. Yeah. I'll be available, so I am definitely down for that.
All right. So take it easy tonight. Any questions, comments, concerns, you can reach me or Riley on Twitter. You can reach us, reach me on our website, whatever. We're here. Listen, guys, we're here to educate. That's our goal, is to educate, to cash some tickets, to answer whatever questions that you have, and just move on day to day, week to week, month to month. Before you know it, we'll be talking Portland Pilots. There you go. Portland Pilots. There you go. And you're right. We're going to see planes crashing. And
hey, if they win, I'm renting Top Gun and waking up my entire apartment building here tonight. That's I'll promise that. How about that?
There you go. So for myself, Jeff Dawson, ADC Sports Invest, from the one and only Riley Magnuson at Riley_Madison01. We thank you guys. Thank you. We're building something special here, and we're so glad you guys are part. Without you, there's no ECSI. So thank you. And we'll see you bright and early tomorrow morning.